Welcome to our day 5 of our digital training class organized by the Cybersafe Foundation. Again, my name is Engineer Faith Edu, and today we'll be looking at keeping your online account secure. We have the outline for today's class listed here. There's a case study. We have tips to protect your social media and other online accounts. There's safe web browsing and best practices, using password to protect your data, and finally turning on extra security. We have the case study here. That time I got locked out of my Google account for a moment. In fact, this case study reminds me of an incident that I experienced some time ago where I was signed out of my Netflix account by someone in one Asian country somewhere. I don't know how he got access and was able to sign me out of my Netflix account. I think the saving grace was the fact that Yahoo Mail immediately notified me and to confirm if it was actually me signing in from another device, another location, and that if it wasn't me, they listed certain steps that I should take. And amongst the steps, I had to now set up my two-factor authentication for my Netflix account. That was how I was able to retrieve back my Netflix account. I learned my lesson. So today we'll be looking, like I said, we'll be looking at how to keep our online account secure. So that's my own case study. First, we'll be looking at tips to protect your social media and other online accounts. Number 1, here we have choose a strong password. We've already mentioned that a strong password should have upper and lower case characters, should have numbers, it should have special characters, and must be at least 8 characters long. These are the characteristics to look out for when you're setting up a strong password. They should have lower and upper case characters, number 1. Number 2, they should have numbers in them. Number 3, there should be special characters in them. You know the special characters, like you have the alpha and other characters of that description. And then finally, number 4, the password should be at least 8 characters long. That means it should not be less than 8 characters long. So that makes for a strong password. So we are going to be having our first assignment for this class, which you will be submitting to me. You have to give me a typical example of a strong password that fits into these 4 characters that I have listed as. Number 1, should have upper and lower case characters. Number 2, you should have numbers. Number 3, you should have special characters. And then number 4, you should be at least 8 characters. Now, please do that little assignment and forward to me. And all assignments should be sent to me before midnight on Sunday. This time around, I'll give you till Sunday so that you have your weekends to do your assignments. So we've talked about password. Use a different password for each social media account. If you have 10 social media accounts, use 10 different unique passwords for them, strong password for them. Seal it up by adding an extra layer of security with two-factor authentication. Please make sure you activate the two-factor authentication for all your social media accounts. Never click on links without ensuring they are safe. One way to ensure they are safe is to know who the links are coming from. Remember, they say if you don't trust the source, don't click on it. Make sure you scan all attachments for viruses before you download them. There are special apps online that you can check that can help you scan for viruses and then to scan the attachment for viruses before you download them. So you have to check for such apps and install your phone or device, your computer device or your mobile devices to help you carry out the scan. Then limit the amount of information you share online. Not everything should be online. The internet is like a marketplace. Not everybody should have access to certain personal private information about you. Review privacy settings. Check what people have access to in your setting. There are certain information that should be best kept to you and not be public knowledge. Now we want to look at safe web browsing. What does the padlock at the top of your browser window really mean? What does the padlock at the top of your browser window really mean? What website shouldn't you be visiting? What website shouldn't you be visiting? One moment, please. We'll find out what this padlock means. Okay. Okay. So I asked earlier, what does the padlock at the top of your browser window really mean? And then it simply means that the site you're connected to is safe. So watch out. When you see this symbol, know that that site is safe. If you don't see it, you have to be careful. You have to be careful of the information, what you download from such site, and the information you share on such site that does not have this padlock. So we're talking on safe web browsing. Safe web browsing best practices include the use of antivirus and keep your firewall on at all times. Use a VPN. Be wary, most of us don't know what VPN was till federal government banned Twitter, and then just saw many people trying to download VPN to be able to tweet as if they are coming from they are tweeting from different locations outside Nigeria. So VPN simply marks your location, simply marks the identity, your location where you are browsing from. So you use a VPN, be wary of clicking links in email or instant messages. We've said this before. Carefully evaluate free software, because most free software we've seen are not actually free. Keep your browser up to date and use an ad blocker. Do not, okay, next we want to look at office best practices. Do not leave your device unattended to if you must ensure to lock the screen, like in your office, your place of work, in your organization where you work. Don't leave your device unattended to. If you must leave your device, ensure to lock the screen. Change your password if you think someone may have learned about it, learn your password. Maybe they have seen it or they have heard it, or you feel they can easily guess, or they have an idea what your password might be. Please change your password. Observe a clean desk policy. Your desk should be clean. There should not be papers lying around that can give an idea to what you are working on. Do not share personal or sensitive information on social media. Be wary of links and attachments in emails. Now, using password to protect your data. How do you use password to protect your data? What is a password? We've come back to password again. A password is a string of characters used to verify the identity of a user during the authentication process. Passwords are typically used in conjunction with a username. They are designed to be known only to the user and allow the user to gain access to a device, an application, or a website. Some of us are members of professional bodies, and we have to gain access to the website, and most time they are asked to type in our username and a password. Even most of our social media accounts, we have to type in our username and a password, in order to access it. So password can vary in length and can contain letters, numbers, and special characters. So I come back. Remember the assignment I gave. This is where we have the activity 1. Create a strong password. Remember I said for this week, we'll get your assignment latest midnight of Sunday. All assignments should be submitted latest midnight on Sunday. Create a strong password. That's your first activity for the week. I earlier mentioned it. Now, how do you create a strong password? Passwords are said to be gatekeepers to your most important information. Cyber attackers are opportunistic and can easily crack weak passwords. So strong password are password that no one can ever guess, not even your loved ones. No one can guess. A strong password must meet the following criteria rather. One, they must contain a minimum of one uppercase letter, example A to Z, capital letters. Uppercase means capital letters. Next, it must contain a minimum of one lowercase letter, example A to Z, small letters. Next, they must contain a digit, example 0 to 9, digit and numerical numbers or numerical values, they are called digits. So 0 to 9, at least one. And then next, it must be at least 12 characters long. It has been shifted from 8. We saw 8 before, but now that we've gone into details, they've told us that it must be at least 12 characters long. So whatever the combination of your password should be, it should not be less than 12 characters long for it to be classified as a strong password. And then it must contain special characters. The special characters, we can see them here. So all of these fall under special characters. So these are the tips you will use to prepare this activity one. As you're creating your strong password, take all of these tips into consideration. Now, a strong password should not spell a word or series of words that make sense together that can be found in a dictionary. These are what you should look out for when you are setting up your password. That strong password you're setting up should not spell a word or series of words that can easily make sense to anybody, that somebody can just type in the dictionary and they find it. It shouldn't spell. And then a strong password, spell a word with a number added to the beginning and the end. You should not spell a word with a number added to the beginning and the end. Don't type this one, the most beautiful girl one, the God's daughter one, whatever it is. You should not carry one or at the beginning or at the end of that password. Any password that carries the number 1 at the beginning or at the end does not categorize or fall into the category of a strong password. Please take note of this because it will also help in that your activity that you've been given to create a strong password. Then, a strong password should not be based on any personal information such as your user ID, your family name, your pet's name, your birthday, and so on. And then a strong password should not be a word you use a lot. God's favorite daughter. It shouldn't be a word you use a lot. Your favorite color, your date of birth, your pet's name, numbers in sequential order, or your nickname that people generally refer to you as. It shouldn't be any of those words. It should not be repeated character or series of characters. Example, you should not have sequential numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 that anybody can guess, either in this format or in reverse order. It shouldn't be. And then it should not be repeated character like you have A. You guess, anything that anybody can quickly guess should not be. A strong character should not fall into any of these categories. Techniques for creating a memorable password. Now, after we've talked about what strong passwords are, and then we talked about what we shouldn't consider in setting up a strong character, we are now going to look at techniques for creating a memorable password. Memorable means a password that you should not forget. It should always stay with you, because if you create a strong password and you forget it, it means nothing, because you ultimately would have logged yourself out of your account. You cannot be able to access a website, that particular website or that particular account. So it's very important that in addition, as you're creating a strong password, let it be memorable, let it be something you can easily recall at any time. So techniques for creating a memorable password. Passphrase method. A passphrase is a sequence of words or other text used to control access to a computer system, program, or data. A passphrase is similar to a password in usage, but it is generally longer for added security. For example, we might choose the easily memorable phrase, Osopa, London, and Lekki phase 1, and make your passphrase. You can see it here, Osopa, London, and Lekki phase 1. This is the same thing as written here. Look at this. Just highlighted. Osopa, London, at Lekki phase 1. We have it here, but the first all together this time around, there's no spacing between the words. No, the spaces in between the words have been removed, but the write up I see here, but paraphrase. So we now have Osopa is still here. London is now all in cap locks. Osopa remains all in small letters, while London is written all in cap. But then art is written with a special character art, and then Lekki is written all in small letter. Phase 1 is written in small letters, and then the number 1 is attached to it. So this is one technique that refers to as passphrase method. You get a string of words, bring it together, and then mix up the characters, and then use some special characters to represent some certain words in that your sequence of words, and then it all comes together to form a password that you can easily recollect. So this method is referred to as the passphrase method. Next, we have the storytelling method. In this method, you make a sentence out of something that has happened in your life and string the first alphabet of each word to form a password. A perfect example is a sentence like, the first time I took a French quiz, I scored 99% and won a cash gift of $20. This is a story, right? So your password will become this. The first time I took a French quiz, I scored 99% and won a cash gift of $20. Nobody can ever guess this. This is exactly what you have written here, but you just took the first character out of each of the words and brought them all together, and that's formed a unique password. If you look at this, we have the uppercase character at least one. Here is more than one, so it has qualified. It has fulfilled the first criteria of having at least an uppercase character. We have lowercase characters here, at least one. There are more than one here, so it has also met the criteria. And then they say it should be at least 12 character long. This is more than 12 character, so it has met the criteria. And they said it should have special characters in them. I can at least one special character in them. I can see 2 special characters here, the percentage symbol and the dollar symbol. So it has met the criteria for that. And then finally, they say it should have at least a number. I can see 4 different numbers here. So it has met the criteria. We have the 99 made up of 9 and 9, and then we have the 20 here made up of 2 and 0. So at the end, the combination of all of this has just given us a strong password using the storytelling method. This password has 22 characters. It's a mixture of numbers, symbols, uppercase and lowercase letters. So activity 2, create a password using storytelling method. Remember activity 1, create a strong password. Activity 2, create a password using storytelling method. Next, we'll be looking at password hygiene best practices. 1, choose a strong password. Choosing strong passwords are critical as they prevent unauthorized access to your physical devices and online accounts. Next, avoid personal identifiers. Then change all default passwords. Sometimes some certain accounts might come with default password, like certain websites, when they are setting up your accounts for you, it comes with a default password that you have to change. Please do change them. Avoid using browsers to create and manage passwords. Where possible, ensure it is not a dictionary word. it's best for your password to not be a dictionary word so that it makes no sense to anybody. One cannot easily guess it. Ensure it is unique per platform. This means that all the different platforms that you are on should have their own unique password. And then use a password manager. Like I said, some popular password managers include, we have them here. You can look for any of these and download. The Dashlane password is on our Google Play Store. I will advise us, you can look at this or any of this one that you might wish to use. So we have the 1Password, LastPass, Dashlane, Sticky Password, there are others. Then turn on an extra layer of security. Remember, let me go back to the password manager. I've told you how a password manager works. The password manager helps you just memorize just one major password, while you now save all the other passwords within it. For instance, inside your password manager, you have the list of all your apps and then the passwords for each of them all saved there. So by the time you open your password manager, you can now access your apps and their passwords in case you forget them. Now, a password manager is a computer program that allows users to store, generate, and manage their password for local applications and online services. I've explained already. A password manager assists in generating and retrieving complex passwords, storing such passwords in an encrypted database. No one can access the password in your password manager except you. And the only way one can access is through accessing it using the password of the password manager. And since you're the only person that have access to that password, that means no other person can access it. Now, the importance of password managers. Password managers protect you by helping you create strong, unique passwords for every service you use and removing your need to enter those passwords. Remember, also, that's number one. Number two, it helps you to remember only one password. Like I said, if you have 10 different platforms you are on, you don't need to remember 10 different passwords, because we've been advised to have 10 different unique passwords for all our separate platforms. So let's say there are 10, and then you have 10 unique passwords. You don't need to remember all 10. You only need to remember one, and that is the password to the password manager that you'll be using, because your password manager will now manage all the other passwords for the other the 10 different platforms that you are on. Next year is, they said password managers can prevent password reuse attacks. And then next, password manager can prevent imposter website from phishing you. You know, we cannot allow, we talked about phishing before, scamming through emails and stuff. So you can prevent them from phishing you. And then next, we have password managers track which services you have accounts with, helping you identify unused accounts that you may want to close or delete data from to reduce your online exposure. So your password manager does a lot for you. And then most password managers have password generators that help generate strong password. Next, you can still use the form autofill feature when you have a password saved. Instead of letting your web browser save your form information, entrust your password manager to store your personal information safely. Next, you can share your password to joint accounts with family or co-workers. It is generally not recommended you give away your personal password, but for shared account, the password manager gives you the option to control who has access to passwords. I hope we got this. You can share passwords to joint accounts with family or co-workers. It is generally not recommended you give away your personal password. For shared account, the password manager gives you the option to control who has access to passwords. So that, for instance, let's say there's a joint account I am running with a family member or with a colleague, and with the password manager, certainly the person has to have the password to their account since it's a joint account. But with a password manager, I can ensure that it's only that person that has the access to that password, meaning I can control who has, if perchance I notice some funny activity, I can easily shut it down using the password manager. But without a password manager, you might not know what is happening at the other end, and before you know it, your account may become compromised. So we have our next activity: download and set up a password manager. Download and set up a password manager to manage your different online accounts. Extra layer of securities. We have here the thumbprint, we have the eye scanner, we have the token, we have the facial recognition, we have the voice recognition, we have the OTP one-time password. These are some extra layer of security. We have some devices have some of these installed already in them. Most mobile devices, Android and smartphones today have the thumbprint installed. Some have the eye scanner installed. Some have the facial recognition installed. There are some that have the voice recognition. Some have one or more of these. And then we have the hard token and then the soft token, mainly for financial transaction. So this brings us to the end of our cybersecurity class. I hope you have learned how to solve the net securely. You have learned how to browse the internet and keep your devices safe from malware intrusion. You have learned how to set up a password manager to keep your password safe so your account doesn't become compromised by hackers out there. Thank you for staying with me to the end of week 2. See you in week 3.